Einstein said that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And that's exactly how I would describe being a Kanye fan. Now, admittedly, it is an endless cycle of mental torment, and yet I can turn on my beautiful dark twisted fantasy, and for just a second, I can forget all the controversies and negativity surrounding this man right here until he goes and does something again. I've written papers on him, and he's been my most listened to artist on Spotify multiple times, so let me talk to you about being a Kanye fan. But before that, I just want to say thank you so much for the support on the channel, because you guys have been going crazy. It means a lot, and if you haven't already, like and subscribe if you enjoy the videos. Let's get back to it. Kanye West, Ye, whichever one you want to call him, is my favorite artist of all time. It's undeniable, and if you ask anyone who really knows me, that's what they'll tell you. 24 Grammys, a prominent figure in the fashion industry, and an overall titan in entertainment. I just had to make a video about him. We're locked in for real. I still remember the day I listened to The College Dropout for the first time, and that was an experience in itself. But when I was doing chores and the last call came on a nice spring day, it had me levitating. Bro was telling his whole origin story on a track and got me to listen to 12 minutes, with 6 of that just being him talking. After that, I kept saying,
mayonnaise color bins, I push miracle whips
everywhere I went, like it was one of the greatest bars of all time. Early Kanye was just something else entirely. He was a young producer just trying to get his flows off, and he actually succeeded. Kanye has one of the best underdog stories and is a prime example of what you can accomplish when you truly bet on yourself. He was able to make it in the music industry, flip any expectations that people had of him, and shape the future of music in so many ways, whether it was his production or a project like 808s and Heartbreak. And that album itself was a major turning point for rap. It's undeniable that he's a generational talent, and the Genius documentary that dropped last year did a really great job of capturing his early days and where his career would go. He also simply has one of the best catalogs in all of music, and even his worst album has some gems on it. I hate to rehash one of the worst copy pastas of all time, but you really can say any of his albums are your favorite and have it be valid. You're a Christian who likes rap, but not the naughty words that come along with it. Here's Jesus is King. Or you hate traditional music, want to shake it up a little bit, and hear R2-D2 spit some bars? Well, my friend, you can tap into some muses. To think that the same man who made Graduation also made The Life of Pablo is so impressive to me, and as someone who really loves production, Kanye songs are simply the best thing ever. The versatility of his music is peak in and of itself, from the samples he uses to certain drum patterns on songs, or simply the vibe a song is able to give off. I will float every time. And each of these albums are so different and genuinely great in such ways that they mark a different version of Kanye each time. And you don't even want me to talk about everything that this man has unreleased in the vault. I really do think it's criminal that some of these songs will never see the light of day, but that's just the music business, and anyone who uses the internet knows how many quotables and iconic moments and memes Kanye has.
I just told you who I thought I was, a god.
Hey, good morning, Kanye.
Shut the fuck up. Kanye, give us 3 things that are hairy. Balls, balls, balls.
The answers. You ain't got the answers, Sway.
Kanye.
I've been doing this more than you.
Doing what?
What'd you say earlier? You waited your whole life?
And we also must have a moment of silence for his Twitter account, because so much internet history and content that is just as, if not more iconic, got lost when it was wiped. In terms of the W's he's had in his career, most recently, Kanye had the year 2021 in his hands. When I upload this, it may be a week or 2 after Donda's 2-year anniversary, which is absolutely crazy to me. Hi, this is editing me. It is not 2 weeks later. Life gets crazy, you know what I mean? So, sorry about that. Now look, the album itself is nowhere near perfect, and if I said it was, that would be a criminal amount of glazing, and I'd just be lying to you. But when there were highs, they were up there, and in general, I like it a lot. But part of what makes it so iconic was that album rollout. It had to be one of the most chaotic, yet amazing things I've gotten to witness being a fan of someone's music. But we gotta start with 2020. This was the time I really took to refine my music taste, because I had nothing better to do. And I just really wanted to become a connoisseur, you know? I was listening to a different album practically every day, and that's when everything clicked with Kanye. We all know that was an interesting year, and a lot went down that summer. His Yeezy Gap deal and the Kids See Go series that we will never see both got announced. He dropped Wash Us in the Blood in June that year, which was kinda mid, not gonna lie, but having anything after Jesus is King dropped way back in October of 2019 made me happy. It was supposed to be the lead single for what was supposed to be his album God's Country, but that turned into Donda. Then he announced his presidential campaign, which made me go, no, please don't do that, but of course he did. And it didn't go too well, but we'll get to that later because we're still on the good stuff. So being amidst an album rollout a few months after really becoming a fan had me eating good.
For sure, you're right on.
Kanye posted a couple track lists for when Donda would come out, but everyone who knows Kanye knows his track record when it comes to releasing things when they're supposed to come out.
Oh, you said the album was coming out on Saturday. It didn't come out. What happened?
I didn't finish it.
He also dropped Nah 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 and a remix with DaBaby, which were both terrible songs. But I bumped them anyway because I was fiending for an album and needed a fix. And I guess Kanye also realized how bad it was because it got taken off of all streaming platforms after a while. So fall comes around and the election is getting closer. I still remember walking out of my SAT in my senior year, opening Twitter and seeing that video of the Believe What I Say snippet that I still have downloaded on my phone to this day. And I was freaking out. That Lauryn Hill sample had me ascending. Now, spoiler alert, Kanye did not win the election. I know it's heartbreaking. And as a result of his defeat, he went ghost. And he went ghost for a while. So now we can talk about 2021. Like I said before, Kanye was relatively quiet for a lot of 2021. But anytime he did make a public appearance, he'd be wearing a mask. So that's what made everyone think that something would finally be on the horizon. Suddenly it's announced that he's holding a private listening party for his 10th studio album, which finally just became Donda. After a few name changes here and there, and it would be in honor of his late mother. Shortly after, we got this trailer with Sha'Carri Richardson, and that's when the first public listening party was announced, and it would be held at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium on July 22nd. And the night finally came around. The first listening party was there, and being on Twitter that night was too fun. Everyone was trying to figure out which feature was who after freaking out because of some of the features themselves, all while Kanye paced around an empty stadium with his Akira fit on. Sure, Kanye was a feature and executive producer for Whole Lotta Red the year before, but did I think I'd hear Cardi on his album when Junior was played for the first time? No. When that Hurricane beat started playing, I just freaked out straight up. And ending everything off with a reunion of The Throne was so unexpected and almost made me shed a tear for real. The vibes that night were just immaculate. But the album wasn't done, and you could tell. Some of the songs just sounded a little hollow, and for a majority of them, Kanye was mumbling his verses. So he decided that he would not leave the stadium until it was, and lived there for the next few weeks. However, that did not stop me from downloading everything that was played that night and listening to them every single day. Now, what made this period of time even weirder was because of all people, everyone was relying on a guy named Justin LeBoy for updates on what Kanye was doing and when the album would be out. But you had to dig through tweets like this just to get to any kind of news. Listening Party 2 was my favorite, hands down. This one was also held at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But before we got it, a stream started up a few days before that showed the room that Kanye was staying in the stadium. And the stream showed anything from who we found out would be new features on the album, him and his team producing, Kanye and his team recording verses, and even Kanye working out. And I honestly never would have imagined that the album was gonna evolve as much as it did. I was mind blown. If there's one thing Kanye is good at, it's assembling different Avengers rosters for each of his albums. And Donda is no exception, because this time around, the feature roster went from a super team in that first listening party to an all-star game in this one. He added Kid Cudi to Moon with Don Toliver and took the song to another level I didn't know it could reach. One second I'm hearing Lil Yachty rap one of the best verses I've heard from him on OK OK. The next, I'm hearing Fabio Foreign on a drill beat switch, rapping like his whole family was on the line. Kanye played Dress Up as a Ghost after doing some push-ups on the stage. It was just a jolly old time, but the album still was not done. So Listening Party 3 would be the finale. Ye brought it back to Chicago and even recreated his childhood home. Although I didn't love how all the songs turned out after what would become their final updates, I did like that you were able to see how the album progressed over time, and I thought it was a great experience overall. It was also just nice to know that these songs were getting finalized and the album would be even closer to dropping. To cap it all off, Kanye played Come to Life, which is one of his more emotional songs, and lit himself on fire inside of his home to signify letting go of the past, I guess. And then Kim Kardashian pulled up, which was a surprise to everyone because this was right in the middle of their divorce. Then the album ended up dropping on a random Sunday, and I really thought I was dreaming. What makes this funny was that Kanye didn't even want to drop it. His label just did. I also just have to talk about the Free Larry Hoover concert. Looking back at the way this came together is actually kinda hilarious. Everyone knows the infamous Drake and Kanye beef, and if you don't, there are tons of videos covering that already, so I don't want to be redundant. The beef between the two of them reignited that summer since both of them had albums on the way, and as a result, it gave birth to one of the most hilarious iMessage screenshots of all time. Then Kanye leaked Drake's address, and Drake posted a video of himself laughing, and a few weeks later, he leaked Life of the Party on his OVO radio station. Why did Aubrey Graham shoot himself in the foot by leaking not only one of the best songs I've heard from Kanye, but a song that straight up dissed him multiple times? I could not tell you, but it still happened, and the song eventually got put on the deluxe cut of Donda with a different verse. On top of that, one of the biggest topics covered on Donda was Larry Hoover and his imprisonment. He founded the Gangster Disciples gang and has been in prison for a while now, so his son and other associates are asking for him to be freed because he's put that life behind him. Jay Prince, who's a big music exec, has also been pretty involved with Larry Hoover in his situation regarding his imprisonment. So he was like, how can I bring more attention to it? Oh, I'll have Drake and Kanye throw a concert. We the people end up getting this gem of a video, which actually felt like Kanye was being held hostage while recording it.
This is Jay and Jay Prince. I'm making this video to address the ongoing back and forth between myself and Drake. Both me and Drake have taken
work got done behind the scenes, and this pic came out not too long after. And the Free Larry Hoover benefit concert was officially announced to be happening on December 9th, 2021. And although I sadly wasn't able to be at this concert, it was still one of the greatest things I've seen. There was a big part of me that was even skeptical of it happening at all, so when the stream started up, I was too ready. Honestly, this was more of a Kanye concert featuring Drake, but that makes sense because he was the one who was more involved with the whole Larry Hoover situation. That Kanye setlist was insane though, and it really had me saying, yo, these are all his songs. Certified Lover Boy was cool, but Drake, you got so much in your bag, man, and you really could have brought it out. For this concert, Drake was looking a little more like Kwame Brown to Kanye's Kobe. However, in this night that was dedicated to Larry Hoover, I gotta be honest with you guys, amazing concert, don't get me wrong. How is this supposed to help him though? Like, let's really be honest here. I think they lost the plot a little bit, but it still made for a great night and a historical moment in music, period. Pretty solid year, right? New album, pretty great concert. He even showed up at Rolling Loud, and there's a big part of me that wants to end this video right there. However, to truly talk about the experience of being a Kanye fan, we gotta talk about the bad, and 2022 was filled with so much bad when it came to Kanye. See, Mr. West is not one to shy away from controversy, and in fact, I think he enjoys being in it a lot more than avoiding it. He's simply a certified Hall of Famer when it comes to moments that will turn everyone on earth against him. The George Bush moment, interrupting Taylor Swift at the VMAs. However, those are some pretty innocent moments compared to what happened this year. 2022 was just a strange year for him. He immediately went from one of his best to completely bombing his career. This was right in the middle of his divorce with Kim and him beefing with Pete Davidson, which I really don't want to talk about because it just makes me cringe, and it was just straight up embarrassing as someone from the outside looking in. Then we have the aforementioned political campaign where he ran for president in 2020 and failed miserably, which also was a major reason for his divorce because of a rant that he went on at his one and only campaign rally. I like some of the A songs, but
what the fuck
does he know about politics? Yeah, he said 2020 I'ma run the whole election, but who actually thought he was being serious? This venture into politics was one of the most annoying things ever, and while I wish it ended there, I'd be a naive little guy to really think it would. To start it off, following the success of Donda, Kanye decided he would follow it up with a direct sequel. The Donda 2 listening party was held in Miami in February, and I was pretty excited for it. Everyone thought that Kanye being in the middle of his divorce meant we were getting an unofficial 808s and Heartbreak sequel, but that wasn't the case. The first portion of the listening party was actually pretty good. Got to hear some new tracks, had an appearance from the Migos, Jack Harlow even popped up, but as we got to the end, everything fell apart. There were just a whole bunch of issues with the audio and tracks not playing when they were supposed to, and it got so bad that you could visibly see Ye getting angrier as time passed, and he eventually just threw his microphone on the ground. So the album came out and, huh? You say you don't see it on streaming? Oh, yeah, you had to cop a stem player. See, Kanye was on the wave of wanting to consolidate everything he did so that he could be truly independent, and he wanted to revolutionize the way music was released digitally. So Donda 2 came behind a $200 paywall. Conceptually, I thought the stem player was cool. If I had the money to waste, I would have gotten one, but I was and still am a broke college student. Like I said earlier, I'm big into production whenever I listen to something, so being able to break down tracks with one device seemed really cool. But practically, what is a regular person doing with that? If any producers watch this, let me know in the comments if something like the stem player is like a generational piece of equipment, because I could really only see a producer using it on a regular basis. Around October is when the downfall really started. Yeezy Season 9 debuted in Paris, and Kanye was rocking a White Lives Matter shirt alongside Candace Owens, one of the most annoying human beings on earth, and it made me roll my eyes as much as everyone else was too. And it's like, I could talk about that, right? But tell me how literally less than a week later, this man cooks up the biggest controversy of his career and really his life. I still remember the night I got the notification for that tweet and I fell to my knees. I just lost it. He did a career death speedrun with a single tweet and all hell broke loose. And after that, dominoes just continued to fall. He went on about his 2024 campaign, hanging out with even more just deplorable people, just really bad human beings. And basically any and all deals that he had were terminated and his net worth took a dive bomb. But he was pretty unbothered. Kanye was all smiles and felt free, something that he really had been on a continuous talk about for the last couple of years. And all the interviews he did at this time were either hilarious,
in line with the agenda of the left, the Jewish media, and the Chinese.
There's a lot of Chinese niggas got something to do with it?
They got something to do with everything. This is my
horrible.
If you look at their contract, and I'm going to finish what I'm saying.
I know, but you have to understand this idea of the Jewish media. That's not how it works. You're talking to me right now.
So every celebrity,
or the most maniacal combination of both.
Why would any of that?
Hey, bro, I ain't finished. I ain't finished my sentence.
Nothing you're saying has anything to do with regret.
Hey, boy.
Don't call me boy.
Don't finish. I told you. Oh, don't treat me like a boy then. I'm going to finish my sentence of my idea.
Nothing you're saying has got anything to do with the tweet.
Cool.
If you were a Kanye fan, it was definitely a time where you felt yourself sweating a bit. And lastly, we have the incident of December 1st, 2022. And this day has made it so that I can never look at a bottle of Yoo-Hoo the same ever again. This was the pinnacle of political Kanye. And leading up to this day, and especially with everything I mentioned before, if you were really following Kanye, you knew that this was one of the only endings for him on the path that he was going down. Those figures that he surrounded himself with basically rewired his brain and led to him spewing all the garbage that he did on that live stream. There's no need to reiterate what he said because practically everyone knows, and I'd like this video to stay up, but it can simply be boiled down to this.
Was Hitler really bad?
What?
What if he was trying to get rid of these demons?
And to add even more insult to a Titanic injury, a literal day later, he posts what I guess was going to be his 2024 campaign logo. And I don't know who's worse, Kanye for posting this or whoever cooked up this logo for him, because I really don't feel like Kanye knows how to use Photoshop. This was just a soul-crushing day, and he just kept doubling down on everything he was saying. And as a fan, I just wanted to disappear. I had to retire one of my favorite hoodies for months unless I wanted 5 stars on me whenever I walked outside. When talking about all this, there was one tweet that I came across that really caught my eye, and it's what bothered me most about Kanye's involvement in politics. It became all that he talked about. One of my favorite things about Kanye is when he talks about what fuels his creativity, but when he's just talking about conspiracies and people in the shadows out to stop him, I'm just like, shut up. It's just annoying. And it doesn't interest me at all. There's a part of me that thinks, hey, maybe this was all on purpose. Maybe Kanye was exaggerating everything he was saying so that he could genuinely be free, because he did pretty much get released from any kind of obligations that he had in those last few months. Maybe he really cooked up one of the most elaborate schemes of all time, but at the same time, it's Kanye, the same man who pulled up to the VMAs with a bottle of Hennessy and teleported on stage to interrupt Taylor Swift. Seriously, where did he come from? I don't want to get all Jaden Smith and talk about the political economic state of the world right now, but the impact of his words is far more overarching than they might have seen. And there are some people who get that and some that don't. And I'm not saying that Kanye being political is some new thing, because it's not. Whether it's some of his song lyrics from the past or him meeting with Donald Trump in 2018. He's always been a political person, and that's part of the reason why I've talked about him in some of my papers. There has been value in what he said, but just not this time. Not this time at all. As of today, Kanye is on his nomadic timing, chilling in Italy barefoot with his new wife. His most recent public appearance was at Travis Scott's Circus Maximus performance in front of a crowd of 60,000 people. It was a nice surprise, I can't lie. It showed that a lot of people are still happy to see him and hear his music, and I was too. I truly think he's a musical genius, and he's had such a big impact on the industry. Anytime you get to see him, you remember it instantly. Listening to Utopia, you could tell that his fingerprints were all over it, not only because of some of the songs that he gave to Travis, but just through his mentorship, and Travis even acknowledged this himself.
There is no Utopia without Kanye West. There is no Travis Scott without Kanye West.
Apparently he's gonna drop in the near future, which makes me happy, but also terrifies me at the same time. I'm always gonna be down for some new Ye, man. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. But will a new album completely warp my perception of him as of right now? No, not at all. When you go out of your way to be that reckless and go on the run that he did, it's really hard for it to escape the back of my mind when I hear his name. But one thing about Kanye is that he's always gone against the status quo. The one constant with Ye has been that he's always been different and doesn't adhere to whatever the norm is for the time. I also really hope that I don't have to see a Ye 2024 campaign, because that's when I might actually jump ship. Right now he's pretty similar to his My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy phase. He's gone into self-exile outside of the mainland US, and some of his known collaborators have flown out to work with him. It's definitely an interesting situation. The last time he did this, he came back with one of the greatest career comebacks of all time, so it would be crazy if he was able to replicate that. Being a Kanye fan really has some of the most generational highs and most devastating lows all at the same time. In one of those papers that I mentioned earlier, I said that although he can be controversial at times, it is very difficult to say that Kanye West isn't one of the most influential people we've been able to see throughout history, impacting it artistically, economically, and conceptually. And in all honesty, I still think I feel that way. I wouldn't be able to fully explain how I feel about Kanye in just one video, because that would probably be a couple hours long. As a genuine fan, I just hope that he's truly getting the help, education, and love that he needs, because he's definitely in need of it. There is nothing I love more than updates to what I'm talking about while I'm already nose deep into a video. And of course, with my luck, a whole documentary gets leaked, multiple snippets come out, and a potential listening party get announced. I'm tired of editing, and I really want to get this video out, so expect another one if anything actually goes down. In the meantime, I'll be bumping Graduation, and as always, have a good one.
You be in Miami with your family, those your brothers, ayy. When we split apart, there's the love between our mothers, ayy. No, we ain't together, but whatever, I still fuck with you. Used to get the numbers, selling flights to get them dirty blue.